Welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is Caitlin. I am coming off of a partial no by year from 2023, so I'm still in the stage where I'm kind of navigating the balance between using the products that I already have, but then wanting to try some new things. I've also lately been leaning quite heavily into trying more indie brands. There's been a few that I've had products from already, but just sort of discovering more now that I'm a little bit more active on Instagram, so finding them through there or just other YouTube creators that I watch. I'm just interested a little bit more in supporting indie brands rather than the sort of bigger brands from like Sephora and Ulta and stuff. Today, however, is not a video featuring indie brands. I'm actually going to do a full face of drugstore makeup, and a lot of it is actually e.l.f. I got a lot of their new Camo blushes, and then I got the Hydrating CC cream to try out. I used it one other time, but I wanted to use it again, and sort of like last time I used it, I didn't use a primer or anything. Anyways, I've sort of already jumped in without ending the intro, but if you're new here, welcome. I would love it if you would subscribe before you go. While I'm doing the full face of drugstore makeup, I also kind of wanted to talk about the Colourpop Twilight controversy, which I didn't fully realize what it was until I started seeing stuff online, because I knew it was coming, and the color story, okay, I've already started, so let's start putting some makeup on. So already on my brows, I have the Got to Be Glued, the brow and edge gel. This was kind of expensive for being a drugstore product, but I feel like everything at the drugstore is more expensive than, everything everywhere is more expensive. But I've been using this for a couple weeks now, and I would say it has similar hold to my all-time favorite, the Patrick Ta brow gel. It's a little bit less than the Patrick Ta, but it's still great enough that I've been enjoying using this, and the Patrick Ta that I had been using reached the gumming up point, so I've been happy using this. And then the colored part of my brows is the Milani Weekend Brow in the shade Espresso. I've been using this, I used this all through 2023, and it's still going, so there's a lot of product in there. And then on my lips, I have the Colourpop and Harry Potter Ravenclaw just lip balm. So I figured, I'm kind of all over the place, but I figured because I'm going to be talking about the Colourpop and Twilight stuff, I wanted to do a Colourpop eyeshadow palette that's also like a collab, so I'm choosing the Harry Potter Colourpop eyeshadow palette. I've been pretty heavy into greens, so I think I'm going to stick with the more Slytherin colors, so that's what I'm planning to do. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Power Grip primer. This is the one with niacinamide. I used up my other Power Grip, the green one of this, and I was missing it in my routine, so I got the pink one to try. So I'm going to put that on first to let it sort of do its job. You're supposed to let it sit for at least 30 seconds to absorb and activate. So I'm going to put that on first, and then I'll do my eyes and then continue on with the rest of the face. So Colourpop with Twilight. I had seen Instagram posts as they were dropping previews of what the collection was gonna be, and I was pretty intrigued by the lip oils and the eyeliners. I could kind of give or take. The highlighters were kind of intriguing. I haven't tried any of the Colourpop highlighters, so I thought that would be kind of interesting to try. When the palette was shown and the color story of the palette, I feel like everyone was so divided, kind of, except I feel like a lot of comments that I had been seeing were more of the negative ones, saying that like they didn't like the color story at all and how was it representative of Twilight at all. And me, I was thinking, I think that's a perfect representation for the first movie, Twilight, just Twilight the movie, not New Moon, not Breaking Dawn, whatever, Twilight. I actually rewatched the movie last night just to like sort of remember it, and I think the color story matches great. It's very dreary, foresty. Everything's a little bit grayscale and gray tone, so like I don't think that the color story was bad. I will say that it leaned quite light in my opinion in terms of like who of different skin tones would be able to wear it. I think for me as a pale person, it's going to be a good color story because all of the shades will actually show up on me. But I think a lot of people, the lighter shades are not going to show up on them. I put on the Aboutface Eye Primer. So if people are upset about the color story in that terms, like I totally think is valid. But in terms of it not representing the movie, that's where I like don't fully agree. I'm not fully going to talk about like what shades or anything that I'm using just because this palette has been out for a while, so it's nothing like new. So here's where like more controversy over this collection. So it dropped on, what was the date? The 11th or something at 1 p.m. And there's not very many like makeup collections that I'm out here buying, like waiting for the drop time or anything. So I don't fully have experience in like needing to be on the website right at the time, hurrying up to put everything in my cart and like checking out and being like frantic about it or anything. So this one I was sort of waiting around because based on the comments, it seemed like people were going to purchase it either because they actually wanted it or because they wanted to hate on it, kind of. So I was like ready right at the time because I did want to get it and not sort of miss out. It's a very nostalgic purchase for me, just like the Harry Potter palette was. So like a lot of the products from Colourpop in the collection aren't formulas that I've tried. I have a few Colourpop eyeshadow palettes and the formula is good. It's not like my all-time favorite eyeshadow formula, but it's good enough that I don't mind using them. So this again it wasn't going to be like a collection that I think the quality is like absolutely perfect. It was more of a like, Twilight is very reminiscent of college years for me, and I just wanted to have it. So I was on the website and I had some other stuff in my cart. I wanted to get some of the gel eyeliners. I've been a lot more into colorful eye makeup, so I wanted to get some more colorful gel eyeliners to wear like in the waterline for when I'm doing colorful eye looks. So I already had some of that in my cart, and I put a couple of the like multi-chrome gel eyeliners also in the cart because I wanted to try them. So when the time hit, I just went and I got the collection and I put it in the cart, and then I went to check out, and that's when like you get put in a queue to check out. And because I haven't really been, or because I don't have experience doing the whole like collection drops and like there being a lot of traffic, I haven't ever been like in a queue to check out. So I thought that was kind of weird, and I was like, oh, well, I guess the traffic is just so big they can't process all the orders at one time. But I didn't ever have a fear of like, well, what if it's not there, or what if it's sold out by the time I get to the checkout part? That wasn't ever like a thought that I had. So I went to check out, I got in the queue, and then I think I was only waiting for like 2 minutes or something, maybe 3 or 4, and then I got to the checkout and it was still in my cart and I just checked out like normal. So it wasn't until I was on Instagram later that day that I saw like a ton of people complaining about how it sold out within minutes, and like all these people who didn't get it. And then people are like frantically asking what time it's going to drop on Ulta, because like Ulta was going to have it 3 days later or something, but they weren't releasing what time it was going to be releasing. So it wasn't until I had actually made my purchase that I started seeing a lot of people saying that they weren't able to get it. And then I started reading a little bit more into the comments, and from what I could see, this is maybe a thing that Colourpop has done in the past, where they like kind of hype up a collection, and I don't know if it's they're not expecting that many people to want it and buy it, or they're purposefully not having enough stock so that it does sell out really quickly, but it kind of seems to be a pattern. And then I guess it's also been an issue in the past where they don't put limits on the amount of what people can buy. So then you get all of the people who buy multiples of it and then immediately go onto resale sites and jack up the price, which, like, can we just not, like, can't we just, I don't know, that kind of bugs me. Like, purposefully going and getting 4, 5, 6 of the things just so that you can mark it up ridiculously high. Like, I don't know. I guess I understand everyone needs to make a living, but that's just kind of shady in my opinion. So now that I saw that it's maybe a thing that Colourpop has had issues with in the past, and I don't know like what motivations they have, but it just sort of put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth in terms of using the brand. I'm not gonna like boycott or anything, but I'm going to think more seriously, I guess, about what I'm choosing to purchase from them in the future. I just think it's kind of a bummer. So what I thought about doing is I did purchase the collection, so I have everything coming, but I thought it would be kind of fun to make my own version of what I think a Twilight inspired eyeshadow palette would be, and then compare it to the actual one, like once it comes. I think that would be kind of fun. And most of what I make my palettes with are, like, a lot of my singles that I'm using are indie brand singles, so I thought it would be kind of fun to see what an indie brand version of a Twilight inspired eyeshadow palette could be. So if you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. Because I watched the movie again last night, it's kind of fresh in my mind, so I feel like if I'm going to make the palette, it'll probably be soon. I just don't know when it would actually go up on YouTube. Yeah, let me know. Were you able to get the collection? How do you feel about the collection? Do you like the color story? Do you not like it? Let me know. Just gonna finish up the eye look real quick. Try not to talk just so I can get it done. So for my eyeliner, I'm gonna use a NYX one, All Time Olive. And then for mascara, this is a new one from L'Oreal called the Panorama one. It's supposed to be voluminous. I got the waterproof one. I threw some on yesterday, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. Sometimes, like, especially with mascaras, you need to use it a few times. Sometimes it gets better when it dries out a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, so what I'm seeing that it's doing, and it was kind of doing this yesterday, is it's kind of making my lashes look a little stringy. So, like, it's not really being voluminous at all. My eyelashes also kind of go through phases where, depending on where they are in like their growth stage, sometimes I have like weeks where they'll just look like garbage no matter what mascara I wear. So I don't know if that's what's going on. Don't know how I feel about this. I'm going in with the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream. And the last time I used this, I feel like it got quite dewy throughout the day, but I wasn't wearing a primer under it, so I don't know if that's it. And I have the shade Fair 125C. It's not like a perfect shade for me. I feel like it's really hard in the drugstore to find complexion products that match nicely. It also has a fragrant, oh, maybe it's the sunscreen in it that I'm smelling. Okay, it must be the sunscreen that I'm smelling. Okay, so now that we've talked about like the Colourpop situation of Twilight, let's talk about Twilight itself. So when I was in college, it was my second year of college, and I remember very distinctly sitting in my dorm room in one of the like Papillon chairs. It's like a bowl chair basically, but it was like a folding one. Got it at Target. Do they still make those anymore? I don't know. They were like a super comfortable folding chair. It was like perfect for dorm rooms. Anyways, I remember being in my dorm room and reading it, and like, I don't remember if it was the first book or maybe it was New Moon that it happened with, but like I stayed up until I finished it. And it was sort of what got me back into, so like I read Harry Potter growing up and I really enjoyed reading, and I feel like there were other books that I would read, but they weren't like, Harry Potter was the first like fantasy type book that I read, and I loved it. And like it would be a thing where my grandma would take me to the mall like on release day and she would buy me the new Harry Potter book. So that was like starting in elementary school and then going through high school. I can't remember when the last book came out, but anyway, so Harry Potter was like the first set of books that I was like really invested in. And then like through high school, I sort of like wasn't really reading recreationally. And then in the beginning of college, I wasn't really reading recreationally. And then I'm pretty sure it was my sister who read Twilight first, and she maybe mentioned something, and it was at a time, so it was 2008, and it was at a time where like there was a lot of hype because the movie was going to be coming out soon. So maybe that's like what prompted me to read it too. So I read it, and I just remember being like so invested in it, which is kind of funny because watching the movie back last night, I was like, wow, this is, I don't know, just like, so she knew him for like a couple months and barely talked, and then all of a sudden she was just like in love with him. I don't know. So like rewatching it as an adult, you sort of are like, okay. I haven't reread the books at all. I would kind of wonder what my thoughts would be rereading the books, but I have so many other books that I'm trying to read and like reread and everything that it would be a lot to take on. So watching Twilight in college, and then that sort of got me back into reading like recreationally and not reading just for school and for classes and stuff. So I feel like I kind of have Twilight to thank for like what my reading habits are now, like more as a full adult, I guess. But yeah, so through college, I feel like I was kind of obsessed with it. And so I read all the books, and of course, I watched all the movies. That was the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand, the contour in Fairlight that I just put on. I think I like this. It is more gray toned, which I like. It's more gray toned than the Charlotte Tilbury version of this. So I like this one better in terms of that, but I haven't used it enough really to like fully get my thoughts. All right, let me know in the comments sort of what your experience with Twilight is and like how you came about it and stuff. I think it's interesting when there's like worldwide phenomena type stuff like this, like how it is that you found it or got into it, or did you stay away because of the hype surrounding it? I know there's a lot of people who like if there's a bunch of like hubbub about something, they'll purposefully stay away from it because like if you're being told to get involved with it, it just makes you not want to do it even more type of thing. Let me know. I think that'd be interesting to know. On to these new Camo blushes. I have 5 of them. I'll swatch them all. These are very pigmented. Like you only need like a dot on each cheek. So because they're so pigmented, I think they're supposed to be similar to the Rare Beauty ones in that way. I have 2 shades of the Rare Beauty. One is a sample size that I haven't even used yet, but the other one is one of the ones that was like a limited edition shade, but it also, yes, it is very pigmented. I haven't really been using these long enough to know like formula wise if they are that similar to the Rare Beauty. I just know that they are definitely as pigmented as the Rare Beauty. Okay, starting with this one is Dusty Rose. Then this one is Peach Perfect. This one is Suave Mauve. This one is Coral Crush. And this last one is Pinky Promise. I think I'm going to start with Dusty Rose. I am a blush fiend. Like I certainly have no problems wearing 2, 3, maybe more blushes. If in doubt, add more blush is what I always say. I think the mauve one will go with the green, so what's it called again? Suave Mauve. Gonna add a dot of that. I'm gonna keep this one a little bit further back just because it's a little bit more deeper in color. I have the new Milani cream bronzer, but the formula of it is nice. It's just so it was kind of hard to tell in the photos online. It looked like it maybe would have a touch of red to it, but it's kind of orange on me, which honestly, like I should not be surprised. I feel like I should have known that it was going to be orange. Is there, I'm trying to think if there's a cream drugstore bronzer that hasn't been orange on me, and I don't think that there has. So I feel like I've got a little bit of stuff that I want a little bit more coverage on. This application of the e.l.f. Foundation is a bit more full coverage than the first time that I used it. So I think it's the primer that I put on underneath, but I'm going to go in with a little bit of the NYX Bare With Me Serum concealer serum in the shade Light, and just add a little bit to my chin. And then a little bit on my temple. I've had some like breakouts going on my temple. I don't know if it's because since it's colder out, I've been wearing like hats. So like the walk out of my apartment and then the walk in and out of work. I don't know if that is what's causing it, but I did wash all my hats that I wear when I did laundry this weekend, so hopefully that'll kind of help it. Because I used two of the blushes, and the first one being that peachy one, I think I'm fine going without bronzer, and I used that contour in the beginning, so I think that's probably fine. For highlighter, I'm gonna go in with the Flowerbeauty Spotlight in the shade Gleam. This isn't my favorite. I feel like, well, I don't know, I haven't used it in a while, so maybe I've forgotten what my thoughts are about it. Let's see. I guess that blended out okay. In my head, I remember it being kind of like stripey and like stampy. Maybe the key is to not put it on from the sponge itself. I don't know. So that looks okay, I think. Can you see? Hopefully you can see and that it's helpful. Whoa, so I just wiped the swatches off with my micellar water, and the coral and that pink shade like kind of stained. So like, again, if you're looking for a pigmented blush that is gonna last a while, I think these would be a good option for you. And they're $7, $9, I don't know, cheaper than the Rare Beauty. For powder, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Halo Glow. I used this the last time I used the foundation, but even with like now that I've used it with the primer, like the feeling on the skin now is very different than what it was the first time I used it without a primer. But when I used this powder the first time, like, I was so dewy later in the day. But because right now it's looking a little bit matte, I feel okay using this powder. And I mean, I don't even know that I really needed powder. I just feel like I have a tendency to wear powder. You know what's weird? I wear powder more in the winter because I feel like my hair is more likely to stick to my face when it's cold out, like with it winding and whatever. Maybe that's just me imagining things, I'm not sure. Okay, let's wrap it up with lips. I got two of the CoverGirl, the lip stain pens. I had a few of these years ago, and like the Mauve one was my all-time favorite lip product years ago. But they don't have a color that's similar to what that was or what I remember it being. But I got the shades Natural Blush and Jazzberry. So this is Natural Blush and that's Jazzberry. The formula is like sort of what I remember, but maybe I'm just like more used to different formulas, but I'm not like so jazzberry. I'm not like super jazzed about these. But then I also got the Milani lip stain, and these ones are hydrating lip stains, and I do quite like the formula of these. So I got Mauve Mentality and Rose Rising. So this one is Mauve Mentality and that is Rose Rising. I'm not sure I fully want to use those. I feel like they're a little bit too bright for what I have going on the eyes, So I think I'm going to use this Sephora collection lipstick, and I'm considering this Drugstore because what's the Sephora brand? So they're a little bit more affordable, and this one in particular I think I got for like $3 because it was like on super clearance. And then I'm going to use it with the NYX Nude Beige lip liner. So that's the lip liner, Nude Beige, and that's the lipstick. The shade of the lipstick is 59. Vacation Goals is maybe the name of it. Let me just put this on real quick. I'm certainly not good at talking while putting on lips. I'm also not gonna go like full with the lipstick application. I'm probably just gonna like kind of blot it. Like I'm sort of pushing it into the lips as I go. It's like a, It's kind of giving Gone Beige vibes, but it's maybe a little bit more brown than Gone Beige. I do have Gone Beige, so let me get it and I'll swatch it. Okay, so Gone Beige is a little bit lighter and maybe with some more like purple tones in it. It's actually pretty close to the Nude Beige lip liner that I used. So this is Gone Beige. That's the Sephora Vacation Goals, and that's the Nude Beige lip liner. So actually, the Gone Beige would go quite well with that lip liner. Okay, I feel like I need a little bit more blush. So I guess we're gonna see how this blush goes over powder. I'm gonna use a little bit of the Peach Perfect. I'm gonna do one cheek at a time, just in case it doesn't go well over powder. It's looking okay, like texture-wise. I'm at least liking how that looks in person. I'm not sure if it's coming across on the camera very well. So those are how the lip products stained. Like I wiped them off. I just wiped it with a towel. I didn't have micellar water on the towel, but that's how the lip products stained if you're interested in that. All right, so let me give some final thoughts, I guess, of the new stuff that I tried. So the Power Grip Primer, the pink one is the new one that I've tried, but I like it just as much as I liked the original of it. The e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream, I like it much better how it applied today using the primer. I'll have to keep using this to determine like if it's something that I'm going to keep using or not. I guess like blended out completely, the shade works. It's just not completely perfect for me, but I feel like I have that issue with everything from the drugstore, so I don't know. But like as it's looking right now, I don't mind it. This isn't new, but I guess I'll talk about it. The NYX Bare With Me concealer. It's one of my favorite drugstore concealers, I think. This is the shade Light. It has a little bit of the desaturation that makes it a good color match for me because it leans a little bit gray. It is just like this much too dark, but the undertone of it works so well for me that I keep it around because of that. All right, so the Got To Be Glued. I like this. I don't know if it will replace the Patrick Ta for me. I'll have to see how it works and how it behaves the closer it gets to being either used up or dried up or just the longer I'm using it. The Patrick Ta, I had to stop getting the full size of it because I feel like it would start doing the gumming up thing before I was even halfway done with the product, which is why I switched to the mini size of it. I feel like that one actually does a good job of like I'm closer to finishing it up when it starts doing that gum thing, that I get more use out of the actual product. Because this is an amount that is similar to the full size of the Patrick Ta, I'll have to see if it does that gumming thing. But so far, so good. I guess I'll just talk about everything that I used. The Aboutface Eyeshadow Primer, I really like this for a drugstore primer. It's sold at Ulta, so like, is it I feel like it's $14 maybe. It's an affordable eye primer at least. It's certainly cheaper than the Urban Decay or the NARS that I like so much. So this is a great drugstore option for eyeshadow primer if you're like me and have oilier eyelids that tend to crease. Pretty much everything will crease on me if I'm not using a primer, but this does a really good job to mitigate the creasing. The eyeshadow palette, Colourpop, again, it's a good eyeshadow formula. It's not my all-time favorite eyeshadow formula, but generally whenever I'm doing looks with Colourpop eyeshadow palettes, I like how they turned out. I like how this one turned out. I'm very much into greens right now. I don't really know where that came from. I'm also very into green and purple looks. Like, I've been hulking out. Like, if there's a palette that has a green and a purple in it, chances are I'm going to use them together. The Harry Potter palette in general, the color story of it is like perfect for the theme of Harry Potter. Like, I don't know if I like it so much because of the actual color story or just because Harry Potter is very nostalgic for me. I've talked a lot about nostalgia, so it's a great option. I'm pretty sure that it's still available on the Colourpop website, so if you're into Harry Potter, I'm pretty sure you can still get it. What else did I use? Oh yeah, the e.l.f. Camo blushes. I think these are a great option. They're super pigmented. The colors, I really enjoy the colors of them. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 other colors that I did not get just because I didn't think that they would necessarily be for me. But the ones that I have, I really enjoy so far. If you've been wanting to try some of the Rare Beauty and you just don't want to spend that much money, I think these are a great option. I know tons of people out there have color comparisons of like which color of the e.l.f. would match with which Rare Beauty blush. Because I only have the one plus sample size of the Rare Beauty, like there's other resources out there for you. So if you are looking for an exact color dupe, go search for it. I'm sure you will find it. The lips, I didn't use these, but these are great. I've used them multiple times and I like the colors of them. I would maybe look into getting some more colors of them. I think they do feel quite nourishing and hydrating on the lips. They don't dry out. And once like the glossy part of it fades, I guess, the stain that is left behind is quite nice and it does last for a while. Generally, I'll put this on in the morning and go to work. I don't take it with me because I'm not too fussed about reapplying a lip look throughout the day, but it will last until lunch. And then I don't know if I've ever really paid that close attention to what my lips look like after lunch. I'm generally just applying chapstick at that point, but these last for like a good half of the day, like up to eating. The mascara, I don't know, jury's kind of still out. I don't love how it's applying right now. Maybe as it dries out a little bit more, it will actually get voluminous. For it claiming to be a voluminous mascara, I'm not really getting that from here. The Flowerbeauty Spotlight Wand, it's fine. Sometimes I feel like I'm into liquid highlighter, and then other times I feel like I only want to use powder highlighter. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to use highlighter at all. Generally, like my everyday like priming situation, I'm using the Auric Glow Lust underneath my base, and that gives enough of a luminosity for me that I don't feel like I need a lot of highlighter. I don't know that this is necessarily one that I would be like reaching for on the regular. Maybe that means that I need to declutter it. I don't know. I'm keeping it around. I feel like it's a good thing to have, just like to keep my memory fresh of like what these types of products are like the whole squishy applicator or whatever. But the NYX eyeliners, I think these are great colorful eyeliners. There's a couple different lines of the NYX eyeliners. Like this is called Epic Wear, but then like the Epic Smoke ones I have, and those last really well in the waterline. I don't fully remember how long these Epic Wear ones last in the waterline, but like so far it's stayed on and it looks good. And I feel like from any of the lines you can probably find a color that you're looking for. Of these ones, I don't generally get just like the blacks and the browns because I have other black and brown eyeliners. One specifically that I reach for over and over again are the Wayne Goss Kohl eyeliners. Those are the ones that I reach for if I'm wanting just a basic black brown. They have like a deep eggplanty color, but like for colorful eyeliners, these are a great affordable option. The Milani eyebrow pencil pen felt, it's not a felt tip, it's a brush tip. This is great. It's lasted for over a year and I feel like there's still product left. I love, like when I'm using a product like this or the Patrick Ta where you put it on first, I feel like the only eyebrow like colored product that will work on top of it is if it's pen-like. And for a while I had been using the NYX Lift and Snatch eye pencil, or why do I keep calling it a pencil? I don't know. The eye pen. And I like it, but between, like from pen to pen, the quality is so hit or miss. Like some I've had where it works wonderfully, and then other ones it like weirdly like goops or like balls up kind of, and just like sputters out when you try to use it. Although this is the only one of this that I've used, so maybe I will open another one and it'll be completely different. Who knows? But this is great. All right, the NYX lip liners. I think these are a great affordable option. Most of my lip liners are from NYX. I have a couple from the Sephora collection and then a couple other like random ones, but for me, lip liner isn't necessarily something that I feel like you need to spend a lot of money on. So especially if you're wanting a bunch of different colors of it, it's great to have a drugstore option. And I think the NYX brand ones are great. And then the Sephora lipstick, so far so good. I like the color of it. I don't know how it wears. It's probably not, it like didn't transfer a lot, but I think that also has to do with me like blotting it in and not putting it like a full-on application. And then the e.l.f. Halo Powder, I think this is good if you just want a light dusting. It does provide a little bit of glow, so if you're someone who doesn't want to use highlighter, I think having a more glowing, like setting finishing powder can be a great option if you want glow without using a full-on highlighter. All right, that is everything that I used on my face today and sort of my opinions of it. Hopefully that was helpful for you if you've been looking to get some of these newer products or some of the older products that I talked about. Again, let me know in the comments what your thoughts about Twilight are, whether it's about the movie or the books or the Colourpop situation with it. Let me know. I'd love to read about it. If you're new here, thanks for being here. I hope you'll subscribe before you go, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.